Has this surprised you, how much the viewership has gravitated towards this woman? Like, people from all over the world are talking about her.
Mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is...
All right, buckle up for this one. It's the kind of story that makes politics feel less like a government affair and more like the next big soap opera. You've got drama, betrayal, courtroom battles, and even an arrest. Yes, you heard that right, an actual arrest. We're diving into the chaos surrounding Dolton, Illinois Mayor Tiffany Henyard, whose tenure has been nothing short of a reality TV marathon. If you thought small-town politics was boring, think again, because this story has it all and then some.
The mayoral candidate being challenged, the saga surrounding embattled South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard continues.
So, here's the scene. Imagine a local government meeting, typically the kind of mundane event where paperwork gets signed, budgets are reviewed, and maybe someone argues about potholes. But not in Dolton. Oh no. This particular meeting spiraled into chaos that no one saw coming. Mayor Tiffany Henyard, known for her larger-than-life personality and controversial leadership, stormed into the trustees gathering like a character in the final act of a drama. She wasn't even supposed to be there. But when has that ever stopped her? The meeting, held at a local Park District building, was already tense. Residents packed the room, eager to witness the latest chapter in what had become a political circus. And then, Henyard made her entrance.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was not at the hearing here today. Neither was her attorney, and she was not made available for a comment.
But let's rewind for a moment, because this wasn't just a random outburst. The tension leading up to this explosive moment had been building for months, years. Even since taking office, Henyard has made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Financial scandals? Check. Federal investigations? Double check. Allegations of mismanagement and targeting political opponents? Oh, you better believe that's on the list too. And as if that weren't enough, she's been accused of ignoring court orders, making rogue appointments, and clashing with just about everyone in her orbit. In short, Henyard has been leading Dolton her way, and it's rubbed a lot of people, trustees, residents, and even the courts the wrong way. Now back to the meeting. The trustees had chosen to relocate the session to the Park District building because of the growing crowds. People weren't just there to watch democracy in action, they were there for the drama. And Henyard never disappoints. Meanwhile, the mayor decided to hold her own meeting at Village Hall, despite not having enough trustees present to legally proceed. When that plan fizzled, she jumped into her car, drove over to the Park District building, and walked straight into the trustees' meeting. Her arrival was anything but subtle. Eyewitnesses described the atmosphere as electric, with tension so thick you could practically cut it with a knife. Residents turned their backs in protest as Henyard entered, a silent but powerful gesture of their disapproval. And then, the fireworks began. Henyard approached the microphone, declaring, "I am the mayor of the village of Dolton," as if to remind everyone who was in charge. But the crowd wasn't having it. Almost immediately, the room erupted in boos and shouts. Residents, clearly fed up with her antics, drowned out her voice with their frustration. It was chaos. And while Henyard is no stranger to conflict, this time the backlash was overwhelming. She lasted all of 7 minutes before being forced to leave, effectively booed out of her own meeting. But the drama didn't end there.
It's the right way. Illegal.
What happened next shocked even the most seasoned political observers. Reports began circulating that Henyard, visibly enraged by her public humiliation, allegedly got physical with one of the officials present. That's right, things escalated to the point where the police, who had been stationed nearby in anticipation of trouble, had to intervene. And in a twist that felt more like a season finale than a real-life event, Mayor Tiffany Henyard was arrested. Yes, the sitting mayor of Dolton, Illinois, was taken into custody right there at the meeting. Residents watched in disbelief as she was led away, leaving behind a room full of stunned witnesses and more questions than answers. But let's not forget this arrest didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the culmination of months of legal battles and mounting tension between Henyard and the trustees. At the heart of the conflict was her insistence on making key appointments like a new police chief without the board's approval. This defiance led to a court order barring her from making such decisions unilaterally. Did she listen? Of course not. Henyard's leadership style has always been more my way or the highway, and this was no exception. Her repeated disregard for the restraining order only added fuel to the fire, setting the stage for the explosive events that unfolded at the meeting.
Jordan.
It's about democracy and it's about hypocrisy.
I really think it's very hypocritical.
And then there's the financial side of things. Henyard's administration has been plagued by allegations of misuse of public funds. From lavish taxpayer-funded trips to questionable spending on events, her financial decisions have raised more than a few eyebrows. One particularly shocking revelation involved the village's general fund, which was found to have a negative balance of millions of dollars. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot even conducted a limited examination of Dolton's finances, uncovering $40,000 spent on Amazon purchases in just one day, none of which were accounted for. And let's not forget the FBI subpoenas. Henyard, her political committee, and even her defunct burger business have all been named in the ongoing federal probe. It's a financial mess that has left residents wondering where their tax dollars are going and why their mayor seems more focused on consolidating power than addressing the town's mounting crisis.
Again, no comment from Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Voters here will first head to the polls in February for the primary election, then the general mayoral election is.
But the financial controversies don't stop there. Henyard's tenure has also been marked by extravagant spending on events that seemed more about her personal branding than benefiting the community. Take, for instance, a sparsely attended concert that reportedly cost over $85,000, money that could have been used to address Dolton's crumbling infrastructure or its public safety concerns. Critics have pointed out that while Henyard appears eager to fund flashy spectacles, basic services in the village have been neglected, leaving residents frustrated. These allegations only deepen the sense that Henyard's priorities lie in self-promotion rather than governance. Adding to this is the continued fallout from a series of lavish trips taken on taxpayer dollars. Reports have surfaced detailing stays in high-end hotels, expensive meals, and travel expenses that dwarf what most small-town mayors would ever consider appropriate. While Henyard's office has defended these trips as necessary for economic development and regional partnerships, no concrete benefits have been presented to justify the costs. Residents have been vocal in their disapproval, with some calling for an independent audit to determine just how much of their money has been spent and whether any of it was misused.
We need some action, somebody that's actually going to do their job. How about that? Somebody that's come in, work for the people, not themselves, and have pictures all over the place.
And then there's the issue of Henyard's so-called cancer charity, which has raised even more eyebrows. Established under her name, the charity was shut down after failing to report how it spent its funds, leaving many to question its legitimacy. While Henyard has claimed the organization was created to help those in need, critics argue that the lack of transparency suggests otherwise. Combined with the federal probes into her office and her personal financial dealings, the charity scandal has further eroded trust in her. Leadership. For many in Dolton, it's not just about one misstep, it's a pattern of behavior that raises serious questions about accountability. But Henyard isn't just facing criticism from the courts and the trustees. Many residents have had enough as well. One longtime Dolton resident summed it up perfectly. The real business isn't being done because of all this nonsense. We need someone who's actually going to work for the people, not themselves. Another resident, visibly frustrated by the ongoing drama, added, "This city will be so glad when she is out of office and politics totally." It's a sentiment that seems to be shared by many in the community, who are desperate for a leader who prioritizes governance over theatrics.
I think they take this serious. I think it's a big game to them, and they don't understand that the more confusion and the more back and forth that we do, no one suffers but the people of the village.
Of course, not everyone is rooting against Henyard. She still has her supporters who see her as a fighter standing up against entrenched interests. In one social media post, she called on her followers to stand with her, framing herself as a champion of the people. But even some of her allies are beginning to question her leadership. One fan commented, "It would have been wonderful to see Tiffany in handcuffs and placed in custody. Hopefully we will see the feds come get her." It's a stark reminder that while Henyard may still have some backing, the tide is clearly turning against her.
It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Wow.
Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what Tiffany Henyard calls herself.
So what's next for Dolton's embattled mayor? Can she bounce back from this latest scandal? Or is this the beginning of the end for Tiffany Henyard? With ongoing federal investigations, mounting public dissent, and her arrests making headlines, the road ahead looks anything but smooth. One thing's for sure, though this story is far from over. Dolton residents will head to the polls next year, and with challengers like trustee Jason House and Cassandra Hobson-Jordan already making waves, Henyard's re-election bid is shaping up to be an uphill battle. But let's hear from you. Do you think Tiffany Henyard can turn things around, or is it time for Dolton to move on? And with all the drama surrounding her tenure, what does this mean for the future of local politics in Dolton? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for all the latest updates on this wild political saga. Because trust us, this is one story you won't want to miss.